So today I will present how we use the code proof assistant to build a prototype for a product at IBM. So the product we were interested in is Operational Decision Manager Insight. So the idea is to act smartly, as they say, to event generated by customer interaction. So a typical application can be to detect fraud on credit card transactions. So when a credit card transaction occurs, it will generate an event that is going to enter the system. And to detect if it's a fraud or not, the system can look up some local information to the event, or can also use some analytics that has been computed over the entire database. So an example of program in this system looks like a little bit like English, because it is meant to be read by business people and not only programmers. And so here, this is an example of a marketing campaign where we will see each time there is a purchase event, then we will compute the amount of this purchase and compare it with the average amount of a purchase. And here is the query that is computed using the entire database, the average amount of a purchase, and then we can decide to do a promotion if the amount is higher for this particular event. So our goal in this project is to build a compiler for this kind of query to be able to run on a database which is hosted on the cloud. So the compiler will take as input this program written in this language called G-rules, and an object model which represents the shape of the data. And from this language generates a query for the Cloudhunt database, where in this database the queries are represented as MapReduce functions. So we'll have to generate a chain of MapReduce that correspond to the original query. So the general architecture of the compiler is the following. So on the left of this vertical bar, there is the product. So we hooked up to one of the intermediate language called SameRule. And at the right is our prototype. And it's made, as you can see, of several intermediate languages. And some of the key components are in the middle, the nested relational algebra, which is a classical algebra in the database community that we have extended a little bit for our purpose. And then we go to a kind of small imperative language. And here is a second key component, which is an extension of this imperative language called the name nested relational calculus, extended with some MapReduce computation that will then allow us to target the Cloudhunt database. So why doing this prototype in Coq? So here is an example of a classical textbook for database system. And it gives the example of two optimization where we push a selection operator under a conjunction and a disjunction. So these optimizations are of course correct, but only if some certain assumptions are respected, and these assumptions are not written in the book. So we can see that even with some very simple and classical optimization, it's a subtle art to make it correct. So the question was to say, okay, is it going to be easier to test and debug our system, or to use some proof to build our compiler? So and the other thing that makes us think that it was tractable to do this is that the languages were not that large. Usually query languages are a reasonable size. And we see also some interest because there was a large semantic gap between the input language and the target language. And we saw that it would help us to make it correct. And of course, we were excited by this research project of building a query compiler in Coq. So another key aspect of advantage of Coq is that it's it can be seen just as a functional programming language. So functional programming languages are great to write compilers. So we can define our abstract data type and our translation function or optimization function. So here it's the example of the optimization that we saw on the previous slide, where we push a selection under a union. We just use pattern matching as we would have done that in any programming language, functional programming language. So we build our compilation chain as a regular compiler, but in addition to that, for each intermediate step, we add an evaluation function. So this evaluation function is going to be used to be able to run some tests at each level of the compilation pipeline, and is going also to define the reference semantic for each language. So with now the semantic for each language, we can write our some properties about our queries. So here is how we express the lemma in Coq using a syntax similar to what we find in a textbook. And then we do the link between our implementation and the proof of correctness, saying that, okay, if I call my optimization that push a select under a union, then on a query queue, I expect to have the same behavior as queue. And the proof is trivial, it's 2 lines, is to say, okay, I will just apply the lemma where the proof was much more involved to do. In this case, not that much, but here we do the correctness between the lemma that we find in the textbook and our implementation. So, okay. So we say we do some Coq, but I think one of the key points is that it's not because we are using a proof assistant that we have to prove everything. And so we did a mix of proof and test for different parts. And for some parts, we had no choice. The semantic of the source language and the semantic of the target language are only defined by their implementation. So to be sure that we will have the same behavior as the original program at any point at the compiler, we at least have to do some tests at the entry point or at the exit point of the compilation chain. Then the core of the compiler here is entirely proof, where we have a semantic preservation along all the chain, including the optimizers. Then when we introduce the model of distribution, here we used a mix of proof and test. And so for some of properties, like doing some optimization of element in the map reduce chain, we prove correct the fact that we were able to merge 2 map reduce chain, but we did not do the proof that we can apply multiple optimization at the same time. So here it was more compromised because this part was much less clear at the beginning, so we had to do a lot of experiments. So we did some proof, then we changed the code. Then either we redo the proof or we just erase the proof because now we understood the thing and say, okay, now I'm confident I can continue like that. But in the end, we were able, so we don't have a compilation which is entirely proof, but we are still confident, and it has helped to develop certain parts of the system, even if it's not entirely correct. So then there is the question of how to integrate the prototype inside the product. So we said that we want to take as input the query language and the object model and generate some compilation, some MapReduce chain that can be loaded into Cloudhunt. So the first thing that we did is to put a little bit of Java code here, because all the product is written in Java, that take the intermediate language that we were considering and was producing directly a code, some Coq code that was the data structure the AST that was represented here in Java. So having the code directly in Kotlin was really useful to do, not really to generate some MapReduce chain that we want to load in Cloudhunt, but to test some individual function or to execute some small part of the compilation pipeline inside Coq and being able to observe everything inside Coq. So then what we did is to say, okay, from the Coq code, we can automatically generate some OCaml code by the extraction mechanism. So then from the product, instead of generating a Coq data structure, here we just represent the AST as an AS expression that we can put into a file. And then we have just a small OCaml program that reads the X expression and that call the Coq compiler. So this was really useful for the test automation because now our compiler is kind of independent of the product. We can just generate the test case as S expression and we can run the compiler as we want on the command line without having a dependency on the product side. But then there was the question of really embedding the compiler inside the product. So here, from the OCaml code, we used OCaml Java that takes some OCaml files and generate a jar file, a compiled version of Java. And with that, we were able to work on all the details and tricky details of really embedding the code inside the product by an automatic pipeline going from Coq to a jar file. But our main goal was to say the code, we don't want to maintain it forever, and we don't really expect the product team to be some Coq programmers, so we want to provide some Java code. So we did an hand translation of the Coq code into Java, with the goal of really having some idiomatic Java code and still trying to keep in a way to synchronize the Coq code and the translated code into Java. So to do this, we used a double compilation chain where we keep our compilation chain in Coq and the compilation chain also in Java. And with this double compilation chain, we can take an arbitrary path saying, okay, I want to start with the first step in Java, then switch to the Coq side, and go back later to the Java code. So this was really key to manage the translation because we were able to test some small parts where some of them were not translated yet. We were able to compare the translation at each step between the result obtained in Coq and in Java. And so this was a task that Joshua Bach did, and it was quite impressive that he translated the entire compiler in 3 to 4 weeks entirely, and with finding the good way to have some Java code that was looking something like Java, but was still quite close to the Coq implementation. So here is an example of a Java class. So what is interesting is that in each comment, beside the classical Java comment that we have removed, we keep a link to the original function with when it has been compared and with the original Coq code. That way, if it was with the hope that we could, if there is some complaint about our code, go back relatively easily to the original Coq file. So in terms of the size of the project here, you have the size of the Coq code and the size of the proof, the generated OCaml code with 8,000 lines of wrapper code, and the size of the corresponding Java code. So you can see that the Java is much smaller than the Coq specification. It's just that all the evaluation functions were not translated into Java, and we only did the direct compilation pass. So we all had some different projects in parallel, so we estimate that it took us 4 years to build this prototype. So, but this we also use this compiler as a research platform. So we have this compilation chain going from SameRule to Cloudant, but we have a lot of other intermediate language and some other input language. And so you can say I want to compile from SQL to JavaScript. So of course I have, I will reload the page. I will go from SQL to NRA-env, where here the compilation path is computed by your cog function that proves that this compilation path is correct. And then I can go to compile. So here I have a SQL query. Then I can say run the compiler. And here I have the result in the algebra. So there was some parts that were non-trivial, like designing the type system for the language. So that makes name sum typing and structural sum typing. Also, all the question of handling the environment. So first we say, okay, we will use the classical nested relational algebra. And we did that for a previous paper in eCoop that showed, okay, we can go from grule to an array. It was really interesting, but when it was time to build a real compiler that was generating some interesting query, we had a huge blow up on the size of the query, and optimizing that was a nightmare. So what we did is to extend the algebra and prove that it was equivalent to the other one, and that all the optimization existing on the original algebra can be lifted to our extension. And so yes, some work on how to define compilation paths, how to handle option to define compilation paths in this graph was also a fun part. So to conclude, I think, in my point of view, the ability to mix proof and program inside the same framework was really key to the success of this project, because the product team was not interested at all at the fact that the compiler was proved. They were just want to have a prototype in Java, and we just say, okay, for us, we think that it's going to help us to do that. And if we had to prove all the bits of the system, we would have never been able to deliver something to the product team. And also to do experiment, it was really key. So knowing if it's the extra cost of using Coq is reasonable or not, I am paid to do that. I'm not paying to do that, so I don't have a strong opinion personally on that. My manager may have a better answer. Yes, but for us, having all the core of the compiler proved was really nice, because when we had a bug on the back end that was much more a moving part, we said that, okay, we are really confident on all the first part of the compiler on the optimization, and we can look for the bugs in this part. So I will stop with just saying that there is plenty of things to do, and we think it's very exciting, and we will be happy to collaborate on many of topics around this